Construction begins with destruction. Back and forth across Japan travel a group of men whose job is to destroy what others have built. They are professional wreckers. The name of the firm is Takano Engineering. The boss is Mr. Shizuo Takano. In 1988, their year begins here, at a Tokyo shrine, to pray for safety in the months ahead. Mr. Takano is Japan's leading wrecker. He and his men have destroyed over 1,000 factories. This morning, he is taking the 6 a.m. bullet train from Tokyo to the city of Miyako in northern Japan. Mr. Takano has been in the wrecking business for 40 years. 1987 was his busiest yet. His firm dismantled 42 factories. Miyako is known for its fishing industry. For 50 years, the city also had another major business, the copper refining plant. But 2 years ago, the plant closed down, a victim of the high yen and a slump in Japan's copper industry. A year ago, Mr. Takano heard rumors that the plant would be dismantled. His firm quickly placed a bid for the job. In the end, they beat out 3 competitors. The contract price was 170 million yen, about $1.3 million. Mr. Takano knows there will be large quantities of steel and lead to be salvaged here. He's also confident that there will be gold and silver and other precious metals. There are 2 types of wrecking business. Some firms do only the dismantling work. Others, like Takano Engineering, handle both dismantling and salvage and sale of the scrap. The most successful wreckers are those who know where and how to find various metals. For this factory, Mr. Takano is most interested in lead. He knows that copper refining plants use huge amounts of lead sheet.
ラディオさんの流れはいくらこうくっついても溶けねえわけだから。
千葉さんは保証はそうそう500トン保証がね。
保証するなんて言わないよ。
In today's inspection, Mr. Takano's guide to the plant estimates that he'll be able to recover 500 tons of lead. But Mr. Takano has a practiced eye. 350 tons, he says. And he says it with the assurance of one who is seldom wrong. Again, the job begins with a prayer for safety. Mr. Takano believes that even factories have spirits. Destroying their home can anger those spirits, and that can endanger the lives of his men. So no job starts without this ceremony. The wrecking work begins. The first step is to remove all electrical cables. The network of these cables make up the veins and arteries of the factory. The thickest ones measure 3 centimeters in diameter. Cutting and removing them takes 3 full days. They will provide some 50 tons of copper, worth 4 million yen, or about $30,000. Wrecking a factory is not a job that can be done in a random or haphazard manner. Destruction has its own systematic methods. Once the electrical cables are removed, the next job is called path clearing. A path must be made from the front of the factory to its center to allow wrecking machinery to be brought in. The profitability of the operation will depend on how efficiently this wrecking machinery can be used and how quickly the job can be finished. The work may look violent, but it is based on careful calculation. The Miyako copper factory was built in 1939. It was designed to be a major center for producing the copper Japan needed for World War II. But the plant was bombed in 1945 and shut down after the war. It reopened in 1959 to serve the country's needs during its years of rapid economic growth. At its peak, it employed 500 people and was the city's biggest industry. One of the former workers at the plant heard that it was being torn down and came to watch. He works now as a taxi driver. 1945. Japan lay in ruins. The occupying forces of the United States took over not only the country's military facilities and weapons, but also many of the privately owned buildings that had survived the bombing. Tokyo had been reduced to a burnt shell of a city. But there was one man who looked at this heap of smoking ruins and thought, there is metal here. He was the young Shizuo Takano. He had been a welder. Then, in 1947, he founded Takano Engineering. Starting with a wheeled cart and a cutting torch, he went from factory to ruined factory, salvaging pieces of iron. It was the beginning of a career for the man who would become the king of Japan's scrapyards.
俺は解体好きだもん。その当時からなんか好きなんだね。これ壊してみんなきれいにするっていうかな。非常に俺に適してるんだね。大雑把細いこと嫌いなんて大雑把なことなんだ。だから解体が好きだからね。
This is the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Forces Kisarazu post in Chiba Prefecture, east of Tokyo. In the final days of the Pacific War, it was along this seacoast that the Imperial Army troops dug in, ready to defend against the American troops they expected to land soon. Their defenses included a number of cannons. Following Japan's surrender, the US military had the cannons collected here. In 1952, they were ordered to be dismantled for scrap. The job went to Mr. Takano. Takano Engineering also received a number of other war-related contracts. They dismantled a naval arsenal in Kanagawa Prefecture, just south of Tokyo, and a huge radio tower in the central part of the city. The steel recovered from these military installations played a large part in rebuilding Japan. Then, in 1955, Mr. Takano received the job that truly made him king of the scrapyard. Again, it came from the US military. The dismantling of 1,000 Pershing M26 tanks, the main battle tanks of the Korean War.
1000両ぐらい壊してるよ。この中にね、弾倉の中に銃弾が入ってんだよ、まだ。何が入ってるんですか？大砲の弾、銃弾が入ってるの、弾倉の中に入ってるの。それから機関砲もあるでしょ。これは大砲だけど、この上に戦車の時のこの上に機関砲がの、これが機関砲の銃座ですよ、これね。でこっちで両方になってる。その弾倉が下にあるわけでずっと。その中にまだ生きてるのも生きてるのもそのままのやつあるわけだよ。そのままで最初それを取るんだけどみんな新管が入ってるんだから。もっと怖いのはガソリンってこの下にねガソリンタンクがあるでしょ。それ全部抜くんですよ。だから我々はそのガソリン使って随分仕事したその当時なかったからあんまり長いからガソリン乗ってその中の城内のトラックなんかみんなそうやってやった。だけどガソリンだからこのガソリンは非常にその発火性の強いやつだからパッとやったらこの火の海になっちゃうわけだ。中に火の海になっちゃってね一番怖かったのはね雨上がり一人ちょっとガソリンこぼれてたんだね。俺らも火の海になっちゃってあの時は驚いた。
What most surprised Mr. Takano was how strongly the American tanks were constructed.
これは360度回んだからこれはぐるぐるぐるぐる360度回んだからでこの運転台こっちなの。そこのこの砲塔の下のねこの境目のとこが運転台のそこが厚いの。約6インチだから6インチあったんだからねステンレスです。 こんなやつでしょ。150だ。150ミリ、155ミリ、このぐらい厚みだ。これが骨折るの。あとは切るの大したことないんだけど、このところの砲塔のね、下のこの部分のところで切るのが骨折る。この砲塔のところもね、約ね、
1,000 tanks, each weighing 41 tons. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. But even Mr. Takano's firm couldn't handle the entire job on its own. So he collected salvage men from around the country. He made a contest of it, offering rewards for the best performance. And a job which was expected to take a year was done in 6 months.
俺はね、監督だ、これだもん。監督だ、ほら、これ、この当時、俺がこれだよ。ほら、ハンチングかぶってさ、戦車のなんでしょ、ハンチングかぶって、これが俺だもん。30何年前の若かし頃で。
A month has passed since work began on the Miyako copper plant. The project has hit its first major snag. The team has been trying to tear down a large round lead tank, 20 meters high. First, they wrap a 2.5 centimeter diameter wire around the tank and attempt simply to pull it over. But the wire breaks. Now they realize that they will have to begin at the base of the tank.
これ切ればもう一番間違いなかったよ。シャレ。
They cut at various angles into the 4 steel pillars that support the tank. The work is delicate and demanding. One miscalculation in the position or depth of these cuts, and the tank could suddenly topple over. Working on this project are 22 men. Most of them are in fact underwater salvage specialists. Much of their work has involved salvaging old Japanese warships and freighters in the waters of Southeast Asia. Mr. Takano uses them because of their high level of skill. Now the preparations are complete. It's time to try again.
短くないから、だってそのバイヤーがさ、もうちょっと上やればいいじゃんね。どうせやんだったらあれだったらね、もう大好き。それいいから、そのワイヤーもっと長くしろよ。もっとワイヤー長くしろ。お前倒して人形がないじゃないか。あれで倒してきた時ね、人形がないよ。ワイヤー短いよ、それじゃ。もっと長くしろ。
The job has taken 5 hours. One of the greatest dangers in this type of work is the dust, which contains particles of heavy metal. Breathing in these metals is a severe health risk. For that reason, work sessions are limited to 2 hours each. During their breaks, the workmen always gargle. To soothe their throats, they drink cup after cup of sweet coffee. Tearing down one plant, a chrome factory, a number of the men were struck with serious nosebleeds. By the early 1970s, Mr. Takano's company had been dismantling factories for over a quarter of a century. These were the peak years of Japan's economic growth. Many of the plants they demolished had been involved in well-known pollution cases. The Chiso Minamata plant on Kyushu, Japan's southernmost main island. The Showa Denko Kanose plant on the Japan sea coast. The Nihon Kagaku Kogyo plant in Edogawa, Tokyo. All in all, they tore down over 30 plants, closed because of pollution. While working on the Minamata plant in 1971, they found themselves literally in the midst of a battle by protesters.
ハワイでスーだな。
すごい騒いです。最初の書いてある。
源病スーだ。
何を壊したんですか？
カーバイト工場といろんな
タンクとね。
タンクそれからなんでかな水銀になったとこの清浄機に刺さったろ。
魚がみんなこう曲がってたよ。
魚がどこにある？
池の中にいっぱい。
池の中にその工場の敷地内に。
敷地内に。 背骨が曲がってるやつとかさ。そうですか。行った当時はね。
座り込んでな、門の外からトラックで魚ぶん投げたな。こうでしょ、ボールが熱いでしょ、こうやってこうやってここから先でちょっとほんでこうやっててこれを入れたのスイングは。手じゃ取れないでしょ、取れねえんだからこうやったらコロコロコロコロしてんだから。だから例えばこれスイングするでしょ、こうやってこうやってこうやってこれ取るでしょ。でこうやったら今度瓶の中へこうちょっと瓶それで取らなきゃ取れないんだね。今掃除機取っちゃってるけどね。
工場にたくさんあった。
それは1000円のもたくさんあったって言えばおかしくなっちゃうし困っちゃうんだな。そうじゃんと分かんないでやってて後から気が教えてくれる。だって終わっちゃってから欲しいんだ。それでなんか仕事半端でいいから。だから水俣だけだよ分かってたのは。
Work on the Miyako copper plant reaches its peak in early January. In one corner of the site, the workers melt down the lead they have recovered. The market for steel scrap had been rising steadily since last August. But since the end of the year, steel prices have fallen a sharp 3,000 yen, or almost $25 per ton. To make up for the loss, Mr. Takano is trying to quickly sell the lead, because its price is now high. These ingots are 97% pure lead. The 350 tons recovered here will fetch a market price of about 30 million yen, or almost $250,000. This factory has yielded a total of 7,000 tons of scrap steel. But steel prices have shown no signs of rising. Mr. Takano decides to cut his losses. He begins selling the steel. Scrap is cut into standard-sized pieces and sent to a furnace for reconversion into basic steel. These recycled materials account for about 1/3 of all steel made in Japan today. The Miyako copper refining plant is a typical modern story. Following the international oil crisis of the 1970s, the plant's costs rose and it had trouble competing with cheaper copper from overseas. From its peak of 500 employees, it gradually shrank until only 100 were left. Then 2 years ago, the plant was shut down altogether. The last of them to leave was Yoshiro Yamazaki. Today, he works on a tuna boat. At the end of 1987, he left for a 7-month voyage to the distant South Pacific.
行かなくてもいいですからね、大きさも行かなくてもいいですけども、やっぱりね、食ってくにやっぱりどこも働くとこはねえから行かねばなんねんね。いい仕事があったらすぐでも今日でも上がりたいですよ。
Of the 100 men who lost their jobs when the copper plant shut down, the largest number, 20 of them, went back to vocational school. The others took on a variety of jobs, from running food stalls to driving taxis to working on fishing boats. Construction begins with destruction. The motto is a favourite of Mr. Takano's. But of all the factories he has torn down in his 40 years in the business, more of them than he can recall were never rebuilt. From a unique vantage point, he has seen the jarring economic changes of post-war Japan. He has seen companies on the brink, fighting for survival, their men fighting for their jobs. The hour is before dawn on National Route 16. 4 35-ton trailer trucks are carrying the latest wrecking equipment. Their destination is the Keio industrial region just east of Tokyo. Simultaneously with the Miyako copper plant, Mr. Takano's firm is handling another large job. Today begins the destruction of the Kawasaki Steel Chiba Steelworks. Japan's steel industry has been in retreat since the mid-1970s. The strong yen has made Japanese steel less competitive abroad, depressing exports. Ever since Japan began modernization in the Meiji period, it was said, steel is the nation. But no one says it anymore. Since 1980, Mr. Takano has dismantled a number of steelworks. Last October, he won the contract for the Kawasaki plant. Work begins today with the destruction of a chimney with a 1.5-ton wrecking ball. The chimney, 70 meters tall, will require a total of 10 days' work. In countries such as the United States, this type of work would be done much more quickly, by dynamite. But that would be too dangerous in Japan, where buildings tend to be crowded together. Besides, most buildings here have steel frames designed to withstand Japan's frequent earthquakes. As industries change, smokestacks such as these are disappearing across Japan.
最近牛肉がねキロね10万円の牛肉が出たとか言ってますけどね、鉄っていうのはキロでいくと100円なんですよ。それを1000万トン作らなければ1兆の売り上げにならない。2兆円の売り上げをしようと思ったらどうしても他のことをやらなきゃいけない。もちろん鉄部門についてももっともっと増やしていかなきゃいけないという努力はしますけどね、そういう意味で、一応今2000年には2兆円の売り上げを目指そうと。そのうち 40%、8000億はね、とにかく鉄以外の分野で稼ぎ出すというか、売り上げを上げようと。
Today's transformation of Japanese industry is often described as a shift from the big and the heavy to the small and the light. The hero of the big and the heavy, of course, was steel. But they are now entering a variety of new areas, from cultivation of food to manufacturing integrated circuits to developing resort areas. In a word, they're fighting to survive. The Kawasaki steel factory is what is known as a reducing plant. The most difficult and dangerous job here is cutting this stabilizer. In the plants he has dismantled, Mr. Takano has seen the economic history of post-war Japan. He has seen factories destroyed. He has seen companies die.
네, 우리 商売だからね、買いたい商売だから、それいちいち同情したら仕事になるのね。だから我々難しいんだよ。営業歩けないんだから。お客さん、例えばあんたのところね、なんか、もう壊すんじゃないですかって言ったら怒られちゃうよ。そういうこと怒られちゃってお前彼何言ってんだって塩まかれちゃうよ。営業はできない。だからそのバネにならないとね。
Dismantling of the Miyako plant is nearing completion. The site measures over 30,000 square meters. All buildings will be totally cleared by the end of March 1988. As of yet, however, there are no plans for any new factory on this site. All that will be left is the 165-meter chimney, a testament to the former days of industry in Miyako.
(150 メートルの大展望台まで約1分間でご案内いたします。東京タワーの高さは333メートルございまして、自立抵当といたしましては
Tokyo Tower, 4,000 tons of steel, a symbol of post-war Tokyo. What few people know, however, is that this tower was built of scrap steel. Steel from American army tanks, salvaged by the young Mr. Takano. Construction begins with destruction. That's the motto of Shizue Takano, king of the scrapyard.